everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to walk you through my experience with ordering this refresh bumper from Ukraine. I don't think the Ukraine part really matters as far as anybody can have poor craftsmanship, but I just want to walk you guys through it. So I ordered it from Ukraine, waited the time for it to come in, and it arrived. It looked fantastic. I mean, I had to do very little, very little, minimal block sanding on this thing. And you know, for a fiberglass part, anyone who's worked with them, you know, whenever you order something fiberglass, you better be prepared to do a lot of rework, a lot of working on there. And I was prepared for that, but I didn't have to do that. And one of the other things that you always do, a rule is you always pre-fit your part. When you're dealing with a fiberglass product, pre-fit it, put it on, make sure it fit, make any adjustments, anything you need to do prior to having it painted. I did minimal of that. The reason why, there's a lot of modifications you have to do, not a lot, but some modifications you have to do, like cutting off parts of your front of your actual crash bar on behind your bumper. You have to cut off a certain part of that, and I didn't want to do any of that until I was ready to start, because at that point my Tesla would have been sitting up until everything was done with that bumper over there. So now fast forward a bit, got everything off to the paint shop, got it back, started transferring all the the fog lights, everything over that needed to be transferred over, sensors, everything. Go to put that puppy on, and it didn't fit at all. So I wanted to walk you guys through just so you could just see what all I did, and then afterwards I'll show you a lot of the issues that I have. So in the last video, and if you haven't seen the last video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right over there, so that you can check out that video of me receiving in this bumper here from Ukraine. It was an unboxing of that. So that really all that was an unboxing video, and a walkthrough of the quality of it and everything. This video here, since then I've dropped it off at the paint shop and had them paint it. And you probably want some numbers right away. So I paid $750 for the bumper to be shipped in from Ukraine. So that was the cost of the bumper and to be shipped in. This right here is a hand-laid fiberglass one. It's not a rubber polyurethane or whatever you want to call it, urethane bumper. This is a hand-laid fiberglass, and they did a fantastic job of it over there too as well. Nice small shop over in Ukraine, so I highly recommend you guys use their services over there. But I paid $750 for it, and that includes shipping. And then I needed to get the emblem right here. I got this. I had it shipped in. It was actually from China. And I paid, I think, $30 for it. I ordered it shortly after ordering the bumper. The bumper took roughly about, just over 3 weeks to get in. And this right here took less than 2 weeks to get in from China. So I dropped it off to them to paint it. They did a fantastic job painting it. One of the things I didn't do before dropping it off, I was too much in a rush. I didn't pre-drill the holes for the sensors. So I'm going to have to drill those after the fact. I would have liked to have done it then, because of course, if any chipping or, just the material that is taken away, may leave a black ring. So I would suggest, if you don't pre-drill yours before dropping off to the bumper, to ask them to give you a little vial of the paint when you drop it off. That way they'll save you a little bit of the paint in a little vial. That way you can touch it up after the fact, if need be. But it's all here. It looks fantastic. They did a great job over there in Ukraine of putting this together. And now they also provided with it, this one came with a splitter, a front splitter. So it's a 3-piece one. I had this painted at the same time too. All right, so while I'm putting together the splitter, I want to just show you a couple of things. So we got this end connected already over here, and I'm going to mirror that on this end. So I figure I'll walk you guys through it just so you know. So it comes pre-drilled on the centerpiece. So that's the centerpiece right here. On the end pieces, you got this recessed area right here. If you can notice, it's recessed, but it's not pre-drilled. There's a couple of dimples there, but it's not pre-drilled, so you have to drill it. But I used the dimples as my guide. I kind of lined it up with this, and then I just took a pin in there and then etched it out to make sure I really had it in the right spot. So at that point, you'll take the supplied hardware, and you're just going to drop them down. Oops, I'm sorry. You're just going to drop them down into the pre-drilled holes. And now you're just going to take it and you're just going to set it on here, right up over here. And what I'm doing, just to give it a little added rigidity, rigidness, or help out in that area, I'm just taking some of this black adhesive sealant, and I'm just squeezing a bit on here. So when I sandwich those together, it'll help to just make sure, especially if those bolts were to come loose or anything too, it'll just help to keep it nice and stiff. Now I just ended up going to the auto parts store and just picked up just a little $13 can of off-the-shelf color that was close to this, and painted this myself, and then threw in a couple of coats of clear coat on that. And I think it turned out pretty good, and the match is pretty damn close actually. And for it comes with this insert as well, this honeycomb insert. I took it off, and because it's just the standard flat black, not sprayed, just plastic. As we know, plastic with sun fade quickly. So I got some high gloss paint and sprayed it up a couple of times, and also threw some clear coat on this as well. So that'll help make sure that I don't look down there and see that gray faded plastic down there over time. All right, so there's one thing I didn't take notice of. So for the sensors, there's no bracket on the back side of that to hold the sensor in. So after I drill the hole, just a hole there, there's nothing on the back side to hold the sensor in place. So I either have to order some, if there are some, or what I'm going to do. All right, so what I did was I just took my heat gun, applied a bit of heat on here, and softened it up, the adhesive that they have on here, and took it off of there. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. And then once I get the bumper off, I'll do the same for those. And then I'll just take some epoxy and epoxy these onto the replacement bumper. Alright, so I have the bumper off. One of the things when you watch those videos of people taking the bumper off, they give you the impression that you only have to do stuff up top. But in reality, you have to get underneath, as you saw me doing, and there's quite a few of these underneath. So, quite a few of them I end up having to break them out because they get rubbed against the ground and rubbed off the top, so I just have to break them out. So I have replacement ones though, so that's fine. You always want to start from the driver's side and work your way over to the passenger side, all right? Because the it starts over there. You see that? So you want to work from the passenger side, from the driver's side first, removing it, and then just peel your way off over to until you go to the passenger side. Another thing that I noticed too, you see all this debris here? Well, down here where you have these radiators at, there's a lot of debris. I actually took this back there and pulled it out. I used that because I didn't know if it was a mouse or something up there. But there was a lot of debris up in there on both of them. So you may want to go ahead and scoop those out, because you probably want to make sure your radiators can get as much air as they possibly can to keep everything nice and cool. All right, and one of the things you're going to need to do too is transfer this piece down here, this black piece, over onto the new bumper. Now, I didn't realize that needed to be transferred over when I had everything painted. So I'm going to have to use that rattle can that I have that is close to the color, and I'm going to paint this up, because actually it protrudes through that in the splitter. So we don't want this black showing through the splitter. So I'm gonna have to spray that up so it matches the color. But that comes off as well and get transferred over. Now what we're going to want to do is to remove all of this, remove this, and remove these right here to transfer them over. Now, as you can see in the grill right here, it has an opening here for that. I'm going to have to bring that out and pre-fit it to see if I either need to trim out a square or a rectangle for this to accommodate this over here, or is it possible to even reuse this right here on there? I don't think so, because that one is much wider, but let me see when I bring it out and pre-fit it. All right, if you remember earlier, I had to take a heat gun to soften up the glue to get the brackets for the parking sensors off the cone, that center cone. Now, for the ones that are in the bumper, you don't need to do that. It's a soft glue. They just come right off. As you can see here, they just came right off with it. All right. And over here, as you can see, you could just really just, I'm gonna take a flathead underneath there to get it off so I don't break it, but they come off pretty easy. And then you can just glue them on to the new bumper. All right, so with the instructions, there's very minimal there, so you have to kind of assume certain things. So one of the things we're gonna have to do is cut this part of the bumper bar off, this protruding part, this extra piece up front here. So the reinforcement bar will still be there, but this protruding part won't be there. I'm assuming they probably tack welded this on to accommodate the styling of the bumper that they have. But with this one, you don't need this piece right here. So this part have to come off. So you're gonna have to take your grinder and cut that off there. The other thing is right here, this bracket and this bracket. So they give these right here. Now my assumption is that you see that curvature right here? I believe this one goes in place of that. So when you take this one off, I believe this one would go in place of that. I'm sure there's going to be some drilling on here to make holes, but I believe that goes there, and then this one goes over here in this spot right there. And you see it kind of follows that curvature, so that's why I'm making that assumption. All right, like I told you earlier, because this part is seen through, we don't want that black to be between our two color matched pieces. So I'm painting these up. I did a coating of primer on there. Now I'm starting to layer on some coatings of paint, just some rattle can paint from the automotive store. All right, and this part is something, again, something you should do prior to painting. I forgot to do it, so I'm doing it now, but it is, you should pre-drill for your parking sensors, if you have them. Can't imagine having a Tesla and not having parking sensors, but that's another story. So what I did was, even though I'm doing it after the fact, and then I'll take some of the touch-up paint and go around there to make sure that this white doesn't show through at all, which it shouldn't, even if I didn't do it. But I pre-drilled in the center just a regular traditional drill bit, a small one just to give a pilot hole. And then I took this particular drill bit here, the step-up one right here, and is the size on there? I think it is. Let's see here. Can we see that? Like 1/2 inch. And I just went through there and got it all the way through. Just went all the way through with it and just went slowly. Didn't try to force it through. It went through pretty quick, only took seconds. And then I took this particular step-up bit here. Now this one is 3/4 of an inch. The maximum is, 3/4 of an inch. And so this one seems to be perfect for it. So I just went all the way through and went all the way through to it. I mean, completely through. And then that was it. And then that gave a pretty good, nice hole. All right, what I'm getting ready to do is now do a little dry fit on here. As you can see, I fully cut off that extending piece up here. As you can see, the crash bar itself is still there, still solid. Nothing, structurally is going on it. The only thing I did was remove this extended piece off per the instructions that supported the original bumper. But the actual the brace bar, the crash bar itself is all still there. Now, I know they gave these right here to replace these here, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a dry fit just to see, is it possible for me to keep these and maybe drill a hole or something in these current ones on here and just keep these here. So these, appear to be a lot more stronger and structurally sound than these right here. So I'm gonna give that a try first. Another thing I did too was, remember on our bumpers, we have that black oval and 2 of the sensors are there. So the sensors are black, the covering. So last night I threw a little bit of my rattle can paint over that to get it to close to the same color as the bumper itself, opposed to having 2 black dots on there. All right, now that you guys watched the video, now let me just walk you through some of the things that I was running into. I mean, I just didn't even have the time to keep the video recording while I was running through all the issues. But when hooking everything up back here, one of the big issues, one of the big deal breakers was placement of the sensors. The holes that they have designated for this, or the placement of the holes, they have indentations on there where you're supposed to drill at. All of those fell right up here, back up a bit, right up where you couldn't even do it. Once you put the bumper on there, they were just being pushed sideways out of the holes because there was no room. The same was over here, the one on the side, it fell right up in this area, right up in here. So there was no room for it. There was absolutely no room for the sensors at all, unless somehow you completely modify this, maybe drill some holes in here to accommodate the sensors up in there. That was part one, was one of the deal breakers. Another one of the big deal breakers was the fact that once I eventually got, so thickness wise, it was just too thick. So I was took my Dremel and tried to shave these down because they were just too thick to go into the brackets on the Tesla. It just wasn't going to go in there. So once I Dremeled those down enough and was able to get one side in, when that one side was in and I got it secured so it wouldn't keep coming out, and tried to put the other side in, it was, I would say, roughly about 1.5 inches too short. It stopped, when it came around here, it stopped roughly about here. It wouldn't go past that point. It wouldn't go all the way. It just wouldn't make it all the way over up in there. It was impossible. And there were a few other issues too as well. But those were major issues. Everything else probably was workable, you know, when you're dealing with fiberglass parts. Oh, another thing too is that for these right here, that's supposed to lock into the plastic bumper holder that's on the Tesla. These didn't line up. They didn't line up with them at all. You know, you couldn't use them. The clips fell in this area while the holes over in that area. I mean, what can you do with that? So there was just multiple issues. Again, the quality from the front was, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. And I think it would have looked fabulous if they would have just, you know, took that extra 20% and got it all done. So those are some of the big issues I saw with it. So as far as my recommendation for it, so for me, I give it a thumbs down. It just was not what one would hope it to be. For me, I've done a lot of bumpers. Front bumpers, here's one of mine over here. I've done them on multiple cars, GH, CTSVs, goodness, what else? I mean, it was just multiple front bumpers I've done. And other body parts too, fiberglass hoods, things like that. So I am very comfortable dealing with fiberglass parts. But this right here was above and beyond that. It was just way too many modifications you have to do. The amount of hours you have to put up in there, it cost-wise, it's just better just to get a newer bumper and just modify that to fit on here. I mean, it would be cheaper, much less time. You'll already be, you know, less modifications to your own Tesla too as well, given that for this one, you see this bar, there used to be a bar here that you required to cut it off. So now I'm going to have that welded back on before putting this bumper back on.